Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade, and today we're on the red carpet for the Tribeca Film Festival premiere of Youth in Oregon. It's a dark comedy that tackles a very controversial subject, euthanasia, and we're chatting with the stars, Christina Applegate, Josh Lucas, and Morse, so get ready for a great day behind the velvet rope. Christina Applegate, it's a beautiful spring day, and you're at the Tribeca Film Festival.
I know. This is my first time here, so I'm very, very happy.
So tell me about this movie, Youth in Oregon.
It's a beautiful film. It's about a man who's coming to terms with that he is at the end of his life, and he wants to go to Oregon to euthanize himself. And it's basically the family's struggle with watching someone make a choice that they have no control over. So it's very painful to watch, and it's also very funny as well.
You've done it all. TV, big studio movies. This is an indie. Talk to me about how's it different in terms of making an indie?
How much you make.
And the craft services, right?
Salary's a little different. But you know, the beautiful thing about doing something like this is that it's so raw. Indies you're allowed to just be raw, and the lighting is raw, and the emotions are raw, and it's a different pace, and it's everyone's just really working really hard because there are no bells and whistles to any of it.
Oh, this is one of those lovely calls you get from the great Christina Applegate where she says, hey, you're going to do this movie with me, and I basically said, I don't care what it is, I'll be there. I've had the pleasure of working with her in the past. She's one of my favorite people, and I truly think one of the most talented actresses I've ever come in contact with. And so when she asks you to do something or says, are you going to do this with me, you kind of jump at it. And then it turned out, the cast was people who, across the board, I have great admiration for, and Frank Langella and Billy Crudup, and it was just sort of endless. Mary Kay Place, who I'd done Sweet Home Alabama with, it was just one of those no-brainers, and then the script was both tackling a controversial subject with humor. And that's a no-brainer as well, so yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Her and I were just laughing because she did Wonderland with you, and she's like, Josh and I, we don't do comedies. We're only going to do some dark movies. Talk to me about this subject, and obviously someone being euthanized. It's such a delicate subject, but you guys do tackle it with a kind of deft, dark, comedic touch. How do you tackle a subject like that with that type of touch?
Look, I think that's part of the responsibility. I mean, I do think, our job at the end of the day is to be entertainers and, not necessarily to just put a controversial subject in a story and throw it in your face. It's also to make it fun and hopefully somewhat enjoyable to watch, right? I mean, that's kind of
that's the point.
That's the point, right? So in this case, I think you have, a subject that's riling up this country more and more, and that the laws are changing, and that people are more and more realizing, wait, why do we allow our animals to be transitioned humanely, and we don't necessarily have the same respect for ourselves or our elders? And I mean, it's really an individual choice, but I do think I like the idea that the film asks the question is, if you choose to do it, what does that mean for your family? Particularly the people who love you who are like, no, you can't do that. So it's and I think there's a kind of playfulness to the way the story's told.
Euthanasia, very touchy subject, but
Yeah.
they do, Joel does it in a very kind of comedic flair. Talk to me about the story.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the beauty of what Joel does is like you said, there's this underlying comedy to it that lets everybody get into it in a way that I don't think that you'd be able to if it was just like a firm, dramatic piece. It's like you kind of like let your guard down a little bit and you let yourself experience this through Frank's perspective. And I think that's really important with a subject like this because it's a very touchy subject, like you said. I think it's a beautiful story. I think it's really well told, and I think it's important. There haven't been a lot of them about this. So
at least not told in this manner.
At least not told in this manner. Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, I mean, it's an honor to be involved.
Well, I think that it was important to tell this story in a way that didn't feel so political. It didn't feel like it was preachy. It was something that I wanted. I was born and raised in Oregon. My parents were voting on these laws when I was younger. It was an important concept to get out there. It's the biggest social movement going on right now. We have 5 states that have approved legal euthanization. There we go. That was the word right there. That's what you were looking for. And it's moving forward, you know, and I think that this is the perfect town to bring it to, New York. It's the center of America, and how great that we were able to shoot this film in all 5 boroughs and upstate. This is such a New York film, even though it's about a film going from New York to Oregon. And I'm so happy to be able to bring it back to Tribeca, where it started. You know, we were in pre-production right down here, right in this area. You know, to be able to screen this and have its world premiere in Tribeca is just perfect for me.